Chapter 1. Unveiling the Myth. So, imagine you're on a journey with me, and we're wondering if there's any chance that a lost city called Atlantis is real. You've likely heard about Atlantis, as it's a story many of us learn about when we're young. The idea of a city submerged under the sea is fascinating, right? But here's a thought. What if we've already stumbled upon its remains and didn't even realize it? For many years, scientists, explorers, and enthusiasts have been on a quest to discover the truth. They've dived into the deepest ocean trenches, explored ancient ruins, and scanned countless maps, all in hopes of finding something tangible. But let's back up a bit. The story of this mysterious city dates back to ancient Greece, with a philosopher named Plato. Plato mentioned Atlantis in some of his writings, describing it as a powerful and advanced city that suddenly disappeared. Was it a parable or a lost place? People have debated that for ages. Now, what's interesting is that Plato provided some clues in his texts. He indicated that Atlantis might be located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we know today as the Strait of Gibraltar. This is where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Mediterranean Sea. For some, this was an exciting lead. Maybe Atlantis was somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, but the ocean is vast. How do we know where to start looking? Over time, many places around the world have been proposed as the location of this city. Some think it could be near the Azores, a group of islands in the middle of the Atlantic. Others believe it could be in the Caribbean or even near more familiar lands like the islands of Crete or Santorini. Then there are those who believe Atlantis was not an island at all, but a part of what we now know as Antarctica, hidden beneath ice sheets. While it sounds fantastic, these are more than just wild guesses. Many theories are supported by pieces of evidence, small as they are. For instance, underwater ruins have been discovered off the coast of places like Bimini in the Bahamas, which people say resemble ancient roads or walls that might lead to, you guessed it, the lost city. Could these formations be natural? Sure, but what if they're not? What if these underwater lines and formations are the leftovers of a civilization that knew things we're only just rediscovering? One of the exciting things about searching for truth is the way new technology can aid us. Oceanographic tools and satellite imagery have allowed scientists to peer deeper into Earth's mysteries than ever before. Remote-operated vehicles can dive to the ocean floor and send back images that are both thrilling and mystifying. Every artifact found, every stone turned, makes our understanding of the past a little clearer. What's breathtaking is the idea that we might have been standing on the remnants of an ancient civilization this whole time and didn't realize it. Have you ever thought about how many people are fascinated by ancient places? Pyramids, ruins in Peru, and lost cities in jungles? They spark our imagination because they hint at times and ways of life long gone. They remind us that there's always more to discover, always more than what meets the eye. The challenge with these mythical places lies in unraveling truth from fiction. Many skeptics argue that Plato's story was merely an allegory, created to serve as a lesson about morality and governance, not a historical account. But dreams and myths often have a kernel of truth. The real adventure lies in the possibilities, in the idea that something so extraordinary could have existed, maybe even influencing the world we live in today. Imagine, if you will, walking among structures built by a civilization lost to time, feeling the enormity of history beneath your feet. Every crack in the stone, every carving in a wall could tell a story of how they lived, what they believed, how they loved and fought and thrived. It may never be clear where Atlantis was, or if it was, But searching teaches us more about our world and ourselves. We continue to look, not just because we want to verify an old tale, but because exploration is part of human nature. It fuels our curiosity and pushes us to explore beyond the limits we've set for ourselves. Who knows? Maybe someday we will find ourselves not only unveiling a myth, but also learning more about who we are as the storytellers of our own adventures on this beautiful, mysterious planet. Chapter 2: Archaeological Secrets. Imagine stepping onto a place so ancient and mysterious that it makes your heart race just thinking about it. A land talked about in legends, wrapped in myths, and buried deep in our imaginations. What if this mythical world was not just a story? Imagine that it once existed, hidden beneath our feet, in places we might have overlooked or not understood. It's a land spoken of by the early Greeks, with tales of amazing cities, advanced technologies, and a culture so rich that it influenced the world beyond its sea borders. This place, lost to time, is now slowly revealing its secrets. The thought of such a place being real is enough to ignite curiosity in anyone. What if long-forgotten remains were suddenly rediscovered, resting quietly in the world we know today? Even in the simplest conversations among neighbors or the chatter in ancient bazaars, evidence may hint at something greater. Researchers, digging through ancient maps, old texts, and under layers of sand and water, may have stumbled upon clues without realizing their real significance. Could these scattered pieces tell the story of a long-lost civilization, one that changed the course of history without us knowing? In bustling cities, native people might carry stories passed down through generations, stories their ancestors swore were true. Even as modern science dismissed them as fables, the stories could weave a tale of a sprawling city, with walls made of glittering metals, machines powered by unknown sources, and innovations that seem impossible even today. Suppose that while on an archaeological dig, someone uncovered ancient artifacts and tools, much different from what we've known from other ancient cultures. Hard to explain patterns, unfamiliar designs, symbols that match none known before each object, mysterious, yet strangely familiar, almost as if whispering about a past forgotten by time. Could these not-so-ordinary pieces be part of a larger puzzle, leading us to re-evaluate what we believe about human history? In libraries, where sunlight pours over dusty tomes, there could be forgotten texts that speak of a great empire, with descriptions aligning uncannily with this mythical place. Curious minds might gather around, piecing together fragments of knowledge scattered like breadcrumbs in an endless woodland. Imagine archaeologists enthusiastically comparing these artifacts, then excitedly running fingers over newly discovered ruins. Markings etched into stone surfaces, and curious architecture that defies what we know of other ancient worlds. Walls whisper as the sun casts shadows over them, and under layers of earth, whispers grow clearer. What if, beneath an undisclosed location, evidence of a luxurious palace and majestic temples begins to emerge, brick by brick, to the sounds of cheers from the digging crews? At these moments, history seems like an old friend eager to share stories long held in silence. Somewhere out there, in a realm between imagination and reality, pieces of this vanished land might lie beneath our towns or submerged oceans, resting silently, waiting to be rediscovered. As researchers trek across deserts and dive into deep waters, they carry with them questions that hinge between fantasy and real-life discovery. In moments of monumental breakthrough, might they find remnants that make every drop of sweat, every moment of frustration melt away in astonishment. Consider societies that perhaps used unique forms of art, blending colors and forms in ways that transcend time and culture, suddenly comparable to certain newly discovered artifacts. Specialists in ancient languages, from faded scrolls with barely readable words, might unexpectedly read descriptions, noting directions to this lost paradise. Faces huddled together, eagerly theorizing as wires buzz with activity. Each discovery bridging gaps between myth and tangible proof. Imagine this world filled with canals like liquid threads through a rich tapestry, vibrant gardens surrounding grand plazas where people shared ideas and goods, technologies perhaps thriving in ways more harmonious with nature than ours today. This civilization could have inspired the world only to fade away, leaving mere traces that cause wonder. For so long, the question sat hidden among thinkers and scholars, floating in the space between doubt and belief. What if this prospect wasn't just for dreamers but was woven into the very fabric of real adventure? How might the revelation of such a place change what we know about ourselves, shifting the lens through which we see our ancestors? Consider a new urgency to preserve our cultural heritage more profound than ever before. If this world existed, waiting quietly behind the curtain of our busy lives, how might we better protect our histories today? And wouldn't an acknowledgement of such a history inspire us to look closer at our present, nurturing our own cultures, and even seeing ourselves as part of a much larger canvas? In every story, from new beginnings to expected conclusions, the discovery of truths once believed fantastical can redefine the narrative of an entire civilization. These fascinating hints, though yet hazy, slowly emerge, glistening on the edge of awareness, patiently waiting for us to look closer, to walk the paths where these ancient peoples once stood. As we piece together the past, we find that hidden truths can be found within what we think we know, just waiting for someone to notice and bring the wonder of the ancients forward into the daybreak of our understanding. Chapter 3: Traces in Time. Let's imagine a place so full of wonder and so grand that it has captured the dreams of people for thousands of years. This is a place that seems made up, like a story from a time gone by, carefully tucked into tales told around the hearth. This place is Atlantis. For ages and ages, folks have asked, was Atlantis real? Some said it was just a story, a fable. But what if it wasn't? What if we have, without even knowing, already found its remains beneath the waves or buried under the earth? Imagine ancient people walking under a sun that warmed them just like it does for us today. Imagine the sound of the sea's waves kissing the shores and the hum of city life bustling with people going about their daily chores. These people spoke, laughed, and dreamed much like we do now. Seeds were sown, fish were caught, stories were shared, but life wasn't without mystery. Somewhere in these ancient times, change began to stir. The more you get to thinking about it, the more you wonder if it was real. Atlantis would have left some trace for us. But you know how time is. It likes to play tricks. Imagine how the world has changed over thousands of years. Cities rise, transform, crumble, and fade. Could all the evidence be gone, whisked away by the winds and washed away by the waves? Well, not all is lost to time, and many traces are written in the stories and artifacts that have surfaced across the lands and the seafloor. You see, just because we may not recognize something doesn't mean it isn't there. It's about looking at everything we find in the world a bit more closely, with curious eyes. Once we began to look, we found the peculiar undercurrents of the world began to speak to us. There are those who dive deep, not only into oceans, but into history, trying to piece together the whereabouts of civilizations that time has tried to hide. Deep under the ocean, beneath the weight of time and water, some structures loom large, hosting whispers of past lives. Imagine divers exploring seabeds off coasts, spotting a sudden shape, a line too straight to be natural yet too ancient to be anything we know. Stories then ripple through villages and towns saying, "Could this be it?" And then there are extras from the land, like whispers from the earth. Think about those odd stones found at random, carved in familiar yet distant symbols, seemingly without a purpose for present peoples. They sit there defiantly, begging for recognition. Could they be relics of old Atlantean scripts, tales etched into rock to avoid the sands of time? We have found these hints in so many places, from deep underwater, hidden beneath miles of sand and sediment, to engravings on rocks in places one might least expect them. Maybe these traces are more than they seem. What about the stories passed down through generations? Many people considered them mere myths, but sometimes stories carry more truth than we dare to admit. Threaded through the storytelling are memories of grand cities, bustling with life and ingenuity. They speak of an advanced society that perhaps met with terrible misfortune, whether through the wrath of nature or their own doing. Surely you can see the specks of breadcrumbs leading us to consider what these stories might tell us about old truths disguised as fables. Shouldn't we pay attention when new archaeological digs present us with structures that defy the known chronicles of history? Isn't it fascinating when scientists and historians uncover artifacts that could have belonged to a civilization once so advanced they dazzled even the gods? Or when they find evidence of technology or ways of life that are eerily modern, yet they predate known civilizations by thousands of years? These findings make you wonder if the world knows more than it lets on. As we trail back to our footsteps, the connections become intriguing. We've shared the sky with those who lived in a forgotten past, stood on the same earth, and perhaps drank from the same sources of water. While we tread a path they once did, their time is only a step backward from our present moment, a reminder of what was and what may have cycled through the course of history. Now, let's consider this. Every once in a while, as if by quiet design, more clues emerge, pulling you deeper into the enigma. Somehow, despite all odds, remnants whisper slyly from ages untold, clinging to the reality of time's flowing river. So the next time you stand on a beach looking out over the endless blue, or pause in a museum beside any curious artifact, imagine what has been and might be revealed at yet another turn in the sands of time. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What wonders still lie beneath or buried just below our awareness, ready to tell their stories if only we pause and listen. Chapter 4: Underwater Mysteries. There's something about the ocean that has always drawn people in. It's vast, deep, and full of secrets. Imagine if you were standing on the shore, looking out at the endless blue, and someone told you that beneath those waves was a whole city, full of wonders and stories from long, long ago. What if this city was the famous Atlantis, a place where people lived in a way that no one could believe until they saw it for themselves? People have talked about this lost city for ages. Some say it was a place full of powerful people with amazing technology, so advanced that it was almost like magic. Others imagine streets lined with bright, shiny temples and houses, where the sun always seemed to make everything look golden. This city was said to be so wonderful that it almost didn't seem real, like a tale from a bedtime story. Now, Imagine if we didn't just hear about it, but actually stumbled upon it. Imagine the amazement of explorers when they first saw things that had been hidden under the sea for so long. Maybe it all started simply with pieces of pottery or strange, ancient coins washing up on the beach. Curious as they were, they might have followed these clues, diving into the unknown to uncover more. As the explorers went deeper, the water got cooler and sunlight began to fade, replaced by the mysterious glow of colorful fishes and plant life. Their flashlights cut through the murky water, searching, hoping. It wasn't easy work. The ocean didn't give up its secrets without a fight. But these explorers were determined, their hearts full of excitement and wonder. Bit by bit, they saw broken columns and large stones, somehow perfectly shaped, even though they were ages old. What once might have been great buildings or temples now lay as homes for sea creatures, covered in coral and seaweed. Imagine their surprise when they saw carvings that looked just like the ones in the history books, symbols and figures that seemed to tell stories of another time, of people who lived and worked and dreamed. There was something special, almost magical, about being there, surrounded by a world that felt both foreign and familiar. Every discovery made their hearts race, each piece of pottery or carving more intriguing than the last. It was hard not to picture the bustling life that might have once filled these drowned streets. When the city was above the waves, full of laughter and music and voices, stories of Atlantis often spoke of great knowledge and wisdom. The explorers wondered what kind of mysteries this place held. Perhaps there were secrets of the universe, or new technologies even better than what we have today. Experts were eager to study everything, hoping to find answers to questions they never even knew to ask. People around the world heard about this find, sparking new stories and discussions. Everyone wanted to be part of it, a piece of this incredible discovery. Scientists, historians, and dreamers got together, talking about what they saw and what it all meant. Each person who came to see the site brought their own ideas, creating a rich tapestry of thoughts and dreams. But with all these marvels, questions remained. How did it happen? If it was indeed the Atlantis of legend, then what led to its fall? Was it a natural disaster, something like a huge wave or an earthquake? Or, as some tales suggest, did the city's own people play a role in their downfall? Perhaps growing too proud or careless with their great power. There were endless debates and theories, but for every new answer, more questions seemed to spring up. This made the search even more thrilling. It wasn't just about finding the city, but understanding it, and through it, perhaps even learning more about ourselves as people continued to explore. They grew more connected to the ocean, this great repository of mysteries. They realized the importance of taking care of it, protecting its depths so that future generations could also wonder and explore. It reminded them of how vast the world really is, and how much there still is to learn and discover. So, next time you stand by the sea, feel the breeze on your face and look out at the waves with new eyes, filled with wonder about what lies beneath. The ocean holds its secrets tight, but with curiosity and respect, perhaps we can unravel them just a little bit at a time. It's an invitation to imagine, to dream, and to never stop asking what might be out there waiting for us. Chapter 5: The Plato Puzzle. Let me share this story with you. A story of mystery, history, and perhaps a bit of magic. It's about a place that many have speculated about, but few can claim to have truly understood. Have you ever wondered if there was a hidden truth buried somewhere in the pages of history? A truth that might be right under our noses, waiting for someone to piece it all together. Thousands of years ago, a philosopher named Plato introduced us all to a city called Atlantis. He told tales of a mighty civilization that existed long ago before it sank beneath the waves. This city was said to be so advanced, so rich in knowledge and power, that it captured the imagination of people across the world. But was it real, or was it just a story? For generations, people have debated the existence of this mysterious city. Some believed Plato's story was just a myth or a clever way to teach lessons about power and morality. Others thought it might be grounded in fact, linked to some real place that time forgot, wherever the truth might lie. One thing was clear: the legend of this city had people fascinated. People have searched everywhere, from the Mediterranean Sea to the icy waters of Antarctica, from the coasts of Spain to remote islands in the Atlantic. Each new theory brought hope, excitement, and more questions. What if the answer had been hiding in plain sight all along? What if the true heart of the story had been discovered already, but no one had put the pieces together? Interestingly, what Plato described could be observations or oral histories passed down through generations about past events. His works mentioned lands with rich soils, tall mountains, and extensive networks of canals and fields. There have been discoveries over the years, a piece of pottery here, a stone carving there, that have led some to wonder if pieces of this ancient puzzle have been slowly revealing themselves. Some historians and explorers have pointed to certain ancient cities, comparing their layouts and infrastructures with Plato's descriptions. They found places with complex structures and artifacts that could suggest advanced societies. These discoveries have often caused a stir, igniting debates and discussions at dinner tables and on expedition sites alike. Imagine a place, already known to us today, that carries the secrets of this ancient civilization right in its foundation stones. What if the ruins of an advanced society were not far away, but rather nestled beneath our cities or buried beneath ancient layers of earth and time? Many seasoned explorers and enthusiastic historians have suggested that we've already stumbled upon these ancient remains, mistakenly placing them as relics of some other civilization. Consider the incredible engineering feats of ancient structures that still stand today. Those whose methods of construction baffle modern science and architecture. Their existence is often credited to renowned cultures like the Egyptians or the Greeks. Yet, one can't help but wonder if these were whispers or echoes from a society that perished before their stories could be fully written. Technology has also played its part. The use of satellite images, ground-penetrating radar, and underwater exploration has uncovered more than anyone could have imagined. Each new discovery nudges us closer, offering glimpses into a vibrant past that might bear connections to the legendary city. The truth is, we are storytellers at heart, seeking meaning and connection in the mysteries that surround us. We want to believe that somewhere in the annals of time, an extraordinary place existed. Whether such a city represents human achievement or a cautionary tale is a matter of interpretation, but its allure is undeniable. This story is not just about a lost city, it's about how our past shapes our present, about the questions that drive us, and the stories we tell ourselves to understand the world. It's about the relentless curiosity that propels explorers and historians to dig deeper, to dive into the past with the hopes of surfacing with an ancient truth. In the end, whether we accept Plato's narratives as history or myth, they continue to teach us about curiosity, belief, and the enduring power of stories. They reveal the timeless quest for understanding that is as relevant today as thousands of years ago. Maybe the fascination with myth is less about finding a city and more about finding ourselves in the stories of those who came before. After all, every story we uncover is also a piece of the story about who we are and who we aspire to be. Chapter 6. Echoes of a Civilization. In our quest to uncover the mysterious footprints of ancient civilizations, we often find ourselves enchanted by the tales of lost worlds and cities buried beneath the sands of time. Among these, one name stands out like a beacon from the past: Atlantis. Imagine a vibrant city teeming with life, filled with people who were so advanced, their achievements seemed like magic. For years, we've thought of Atlantis as a myth, a story passed down through generations, a cautionary tale of hubris and loss. But what if we have already stumbled upon this legendary city without fully realizing it? Let us take a journey into your imagination. Picture our planet as it was thousands of years ago. The lush landscapes, the thriving ecosystems that have long since changed shape, and the vibrant cultures that existed long before recorded history. In this world, a highly advanced civilization could have formed. Imagine a place where knowledge and innovation were valued above all else, where technology might have flourished in ways we've yet to understand. Think of incredible architecture, far ahead of its time. Buildings that seemed to touch the sky and intricate canals carrying water through the bustling heart of the city. It's a place where arts and science united, crafting wonders beyond the scope of their burgeoning neighbors. Now, let's bring ourselves to the present day. As scientists and explorers, we search the depths of the oceans, study the remnants of ancient societies, and piece together the puzzle of our shared human story. In these endeavors, we often find intriguing clues, pointing to advanced civilizations that existed long before contemporary history books can account for. What if, in uncovering ruins and remnants from these ancient times, we've come across cities and artifacts and didn't realize their true significance? They could be silent witnesses to a way of life we have only dreamt about. Scientists have discovered structures that defy what we know of ancient engineering, enormous underwater constructions that suggest organized society and cutting-edge technology. Many have dismissed these as anomalies, preferring to stick with widely accepted theories. But what if these structures were part of a once thriving metropolis, swallowed by the sea after cataclysmic events? Could it be that the stories of Atlantis we once thought were purely mythical were inspired by real memories passed down through generations? Now, let's talk about the ways we study remnants of the past. The details we've learned from fossil records, ancient writings, and archaeological finds have transformed our understanding of early human development. They often open windows into the lives of those who came before us. Every broken pot, every piece of jewelry, carries a story. Historians are detectives piecing together the narrative of forgotten times. Recent technological advancements have allowed us to look deeper into the mysteries hidden beneath the waves. Through submersibles and sonar mapping, the ocean floor has become less of an enigma and more of a library of history. In this underwater library, the echoes of the past call to us. The murmur of ancient voices, carried by the currents, speaks to a great culture, one far ahead of its age. Imagine their stories, the daily life bustling around them, their struggles, triumphs, and even their downfall. Perhaps they had harnessed energy in a way we've not yet rediscovered. Their tools, their artistry, each piece telling us something about who they were. And then, imagine what could have happened to such a city for it to vanish so completely. Was it a climate catastrophe, a series of earthquakes, or perhaps their technology outpaced their ability to control it, leading to their own destruction. As we speculate, researchers continue their work, peeling back layers of history in hopes of catching a glimpse of an ancient reality. Every day, we learn more about the glaciers and ice caps engaging in their relentless dance, reshaping the world's coasts. Every new finding is like a whisper from the past, each piece of evidence a clue pointing toward a hidden truth. Perhaps one day, all these pieces will form a coherent picture, confirming that humanity has witnessed age-old wonders rise and fall like the ebb and flow of the tides. Here's a thought to leave you with. Consider the past not just as a series of events leading to the present, but as a deeply woven tapestry with threads of forgotten wonders that continue to influence us. What stories lay underneath the deep blue blanket of the ocean? Could there be still more to find? Histories as rich and mysterious as the one forgotten city we've long imagined but barely understood. Exploring these questions opens our minds to the awe-inspiring possibilities. Whether or not we conclusively find that legendary city, the way we view our shared past will never be quite the same. New echoes will always stir, beckoning us to listen to the secrets hidden in the depths. Chapter 7. Lost City Found. In the vast, rolling seas of our world, where stories of lost lands and forgotten cities have been told and retold through the ages, a remarkable discovery was made, shaking the foundations of both history and myth. Picture this: a group of curious researchers, not much unlike those people who are always busy studying rocks and ancient things, stumbled upon something extraordinary during their routine work beneath the oceans. They weren't expecting to discover anything of significance. Their mission was, in fact, quite ordinary. But as they scoured through sonar readings and underwater images, something caught their eyes, something that defied logic and sparked wonder. These researchers were aboard a high-tech ship, miles away from any land. Their tools were advanced. They had clever machines to map the ocean floor. One day, a team member named Emma noticed strange shapes in the readings. They weren't just ordinary shapes like the ridges and valleys you'd expect under the sea. No, these were geometric patterns, lined up with precision that nature seldom uses. Imagine large, square, and rectangular shapes forming what seemed like the outline of old, submerged buildings. The excitement spread among the researchers. They carefully plotted their next steps, loading equipment onto small submarines to dive deep into the watery world below. As they descended, the water turned from light blues to darker hues, until the only light came from the lamps of their crafts. The seabed finally emerged from the shadows, and there it was, a sprawling metropolis, lain in ruins, but unmistakably built by human hands. Streets laid out in neat grids, colonnades, and the remains of temples came into view. The researchers couldn't believe it. They had found a city lost to time, out of stories and legends. But let's pause here for a moment. You might be wondering, wasn't the fabled city said to be sunk because of some tremendous disaster? So how could it have been found now and not before? The world is full of secrets, many hidden deep and far away from idle exploration. Over countless years, nature's blanket had covered what once stood proud, and it took a serendipitous journey in the right spot at the right time to shift that blanket aside. Curiosity grew beyond these explorers. Initial amazement. Scientists, historians, and adventurers alike were drawn to this underwater revelation. There was no shortage of ideas as to what the city really was, or if it truly was the legendary place many had whispered about. Was this sunken city Atlantis? Or was it another culture's creation, equally grand, yet unnamed in our history books. Someone recalled that tech guy Gavin, who brought all his digital gadgets on board, whispered it seemed too fitting for it to be anything other than what they hoped. Somewhere in all the stories, Gavin mentioned something interesting. Myths from around the world spoke of land swallowed by water, civilizations meeting quick ends due to angry seas. There seemed a grain of truth linking these shared stories. A huge buzz began to ripple across the globe. Scholars and treasure hunters alike were drawn, each seeking evidence to back their own theories. Governments got involved, too eager to lay claim to something that could reshape our history, attract tourism, or perhaps even alter national pride. Suddenly, the site was not just an archaeologist's dream. It became a hub of political and academic intrigue. Research efforts kicked into high gear. People started peeling back layers of rock and silt. They found pottery, some of which was still intact, as well as depictions engraved on stone tablets. These depicted scenes, familiar yet timeless, of rulers and gods, and life as it might have been thousands of years ago. There were artifacts made of metals uncommon in ancient times, hinting at knowledge advanced for their era. As they dug deeper, scholars found what looked like stone slabs with carvings in a language that had never been seen before. Some symbols were already known, but others were an elaborate mystery. Emma and her team became overnight sensations, hailed as trailblazers and pioneers. Imagine their surprise and, probably some anxieties. The world watched every move they made from then on. The media portrayed them as heroes on the brink of rewriting history. But with every exciting discovery came greater questions. Could they unlock the secrets of this city? Could they and should they claim it as the much sought-after city from the tales? In classrooms and homes, people followed these questions closely. Kids asked their teachers about the lost place, while parents dusted off old books that told stories of archipelagos and grand edifices. Everywhere, imaginations ignited with what was unearthed from the sea. People envisioned the lives lived in such a place, and the stories these ruins might tell. Meanwhile, back on the ground, underwater drones became essential. These machines explored further than human hands could reach. They mapped out neighborhoods, long silent, uncovering stadiums and plazas, now homes to colorful fish and sea creatures. Researchers dipped into archives, searching for more clues that could link this massive find to the bustling market cities spoken of by travelers and philosophers of the past. Scientists tested old theories with new information. They matched findings with known historical events, piecing together how a city this massive could have existed in a time and place not previously marked on our maps. There were heated debates and discussions between experts, between historians certain of their timelines, and geologists who proposed natural explanations for the city's submersion, while the exact truth of its identity and origin remained uncertain. People around the world began to embrace the impact of this finding. Regardless of whether this city turned out to be the mythical realm they wondered if it was for centuries, or another noble civilization altogether. The discovery underscored something profound. Our planet harbors countless mysteries that challenge our understanding of history. As they dove further into exploration, one thing became increasingly clear to Emma and the other guardians of this uncovered marvel. Beyond whatever names or stories would eventually be tied to the city, it was a testament to ancient humanity's resilience and creativity. These were people who built something phenomenal, spectacle that stood still long after its creators vanished. Whether Atlantis or otherwise, The unveiling of such a lost treasure sparked a wave of curiosity and connection among people. Everyone found themselves part of an unfolding story, spanning time and space, weaving together past and present in a narrative as vast as the sea itself. As the waves closed over the city once more each night, anticipation grew for all the possibilities and truths that might soon rise to the surface, revealed slowly by the rhythms of the ocean and the determined spirit of those seeking to uncover what has always been just beneath our sight. Chapter 8. Decoding Legends. Imagine sitting around a crackling fire on a chilly night, the warm glow casting dancing shadows on eager faces. Stories flow, some familiar, others mysterious. Among them, tales about a place lost to history, a land of wonder and mystery, a city believed to have vanished beneath waves or whisked away by time itself. It's a story we've all heard, at least in one form or another. This story, whispering its secrets through the ages, is called Atlantis. For centuries, people have debated whether this fabled land ever truly existed. Some call it a myth, a mere creation of imagination, designed to teach lessons or entertain. Others believe it was real, a thriving place of advanced civilizations that met a sudden, tragic fate. But what if Atlantis wasn't just a figment of legend? What if we've already stumbled upon it, perhaps without even realizing it? Now, let's dive into some of these old stories and tales, trying to peel back layers like an onion, tale by tale. The first thing to think of is why people came up with this story in the first place. Often, legends have a kernel of truth at their core. They grow and change as they are passed along, much like a game of telephone. By the time they reach us, they might look quite different from how they started. The mystery of Atlantis, well, it begins mostly from the accounts of the famous Greek philosopher, Plato. He wrote about it in two of his works, Timaeus and Critias. According to his account, Atlantis was a great and powerful island nation that existed 9,000 years before his own time. It was rich with resources, technologically advanced, and boasted a mighty navy. However, its people grew greedy and corrupt, which led to their downfall, sent to oblivion by the wrath of the gods. Atlantis was swallowed by the sea in a single day and night of misfortune. Plato's story has puzzled minds for ages. Was he speaking of a real place, or spinning a yarn to convey a moral lesson? Generations of explorers, researchers, and conspiracy enthusiasts have searched for traces of this vanished city. They've looked everywhere: the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and even under the icy crust of Antarctica. Anywhere there is mystery to be found. There are those hoping to uncover Atlantis. Let's entertain the idea that perhaps clues to this ancient city have already been unearthed, only hidden under different names or explained away by other theories. Consider for a moment the idea that Atlantis may not have been one single place, but rather a concept or a blending of several actual locales. Different regions have ruins of civilizations that met unexplained or abrupt ends. Take, for instance, the Minoan civilization on the island of Crete. It was incredibly advanced with palatial structures, art, and plumbing. A massive volcanic eruption on the neighboring island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, around 1600 BC, caused a large part of the island to collapse into the sea, bringing about catastrophic changes that might have inspired tales of sudden destruction. Then there's the tale of Troy, an ancient city that for a long time was considered myth until archaeologists uncovered its ruins. What if our ancestors did find remnants of real places but narrated them through the stories they knew? Much like how a grandparent might weave a family story by twisting fact and fiction, adding flair to make it compelling, so too might have been the manor tales of legendary cities like Atlantis, spun into what we know today. Archaeology gives us small windows into past lives, but relies heavily on interpretation and sometimes a bit of imagination. When there's little solid proof, things must be pieced together, like assembling a jigsaw puzzle with a handful of scattered pieces. The ruins and ancient relics act as storytellers, revealing secrets in bits, awaiting the keen ears and eyes to decode what's been long silenced by time. Moreover, when we examine how history itself is recorded, especially in ancient times, narratives were highly subjective. Events were often penned by victors, by influential men, and by those with reasons to tell them a certain way. Many cultures didn't write their history down until much later, often using symbols or oral traditions, prone to alteration over generations. Imagine a world where travelers from ancient lands set sail, ventured far, and discovered civilizations entirely foreign to them. They likely returned with tales of marvels and wonders, places that seemed otherworldly. Knowledge was shared through spoken words, and vivid descriptions that changed grew more fantastically. They were retold. Mystic bits of knowledge clung to these explorers' diverse fields: philosophy, religion, science, myth, all of which influence how stories are both shared and remembered. Today's technology and satellite imaging allow us to peek beneath oceans, mapping the seafloor with intricate detail. As we traverse this realm of initial uncertainties, could it be that we have already glimpsed the echoes of this legendary story? Perhaps parts of it existed all along, only obscured by other discoveries, or misunderstood as unrelated ruins. Scattered pieces just waiting for a bold imagination to bring them together. And maybe, just maybe, Atlantis isn't so much about understanding a place in history, as it is about understanding our own story, a reminder of what can happen when balance is lost. It inspires us to think about the fate of civilizations and the fragility of what we've built. Whether the story is real doesn't diminish its power to remind us of lessons in humility and perseverance, or to dazzle the mind with possibilities. So, keeping these ideas at their heart, let's remember that legends grow and evolve. Myths connect us with history, conjuring visions of the past, intertwined with whispered wisdom of bygone eras. It's not just about the search for proof, but about cherishing the stories themselves, which shape not just our identity, but our collective dreams as well. Chapter 9: Evidence from the Deep. Imagine for a moment you are sitting at the edge of a small fishing boat, rocking gently on the waves. The sky is a bright blue, the sun is warm, and the sea is a vast, never-ending expanse. It feels peaceful, doesn't it? But underneath those calm waves, deep down in the mysterious depths, are secrets waiting to be uncovered. Secrets that have been hiding for thousands of years. What if, buried under the sand and resting in the ocean's shadowy corners, are clues to an ancient world? We're going to dive beneath the surface today, like a group of curious explorers, to see what we can find. For many years, people have spun tales of a great city that disappeared into the sea long ago. This city was said to be full of wonders, with tall buildings and advanced civilizations. It was a place where wisdom, power, and beauty flourished. One day, in some mysterious turn of fate, it vanished beneath the waves, leaving only whispers behind. It's the stuff of myth and legend, and everyone loves a good mystery, don't they? Scientists and explorers have always been fascinated by the ocean. It's like a giant treasure chest that has never been fully opened. Every few years, someone discovers something extraordinary down there. New types of fish, ancient shipwrecks, strange geological formations, and sometimes remnants of civilizations that lived and thrived before us. With the development of technology, we're now able to explore these hidden depths much more closely than ever before. Special underwater vehicles, like small submarines, are often used. They have cameras, lights, and sometimes even robotic arms to pick things up. These subs dive down to parts of the ocean that are too deep and dangerous for people to reach. Imagine zooming around the ocean floor, the sub's lights cutting through the darkness to reveal stunning, untouched landscapes. Rocks covered in strange corals, odd sea creatures you've never seen before, and maybe ancient ruins peeking out from the sand. There are also sonar machines that send signals down to the seabed and can paint a picture of what's below. It's like closing your eyes and seeing the world with your ears, bouncing sound off surfaces to discover shape and form. Researchers will comb through hours of data, looking for anything that seems out of place or special. Patterns that look like old streets, images of what might be structures, irresistible clues that lead to 1,000 questions. A few years ago, some curious minds decided to follow one such tale that had been largely ignored in a region of the sea that had been mapped 1,000 times. Someone spotted strange lines in a sonar image, lines that didn't seem natural. It looked a bit like the remnants of a city grid. At first, many people were skeptical. After all, the ocean is full of mysterious formations caused by volcanic activity, shifting tectonic plates, and erosion. But curiosity is a powerful motivator, and so a team was put together. Explorers, scientists, historians, and daredevils decided to partner up and investigate further. They pored over ancient texts, records, and maps, combining modern technology with old-world stories. It was an enormous puzzle with pieces scattered across time and miles of ocean. When they finally reached the spot, their submarine descended slowly, the water growing darker around them. As they got closer to the bottom, the onboard lights illuminated a landscape that was both ordinary and extraordinary. There were trenches, cliffs, strange underwater valleys, and then they saw what looked like stone, shaped into right angles, arranged in patterns far too precise to be random. Back on the surface, this revelation sparked endless discussions and debates. What were these formations? Natural or something more? Every stone was analyzed. Samples were taken and dated, and though nothing could be stated conclusively right away, the possibility alone sent waves of excitement through the scientific community and beyond. Underneath layers of sediment, traces of painted pottery were found. Bits of what might once have been buildings were examined. But more than the physical pieces, there was something almost magical in realizing people, much like us, might have lived vastly different lives in this place, constantly in harmony and struggle with the sea. Research continued, with experts trying to create a picture of what life would have been like there. Speculation was rampant. Was this a port city, a center for trade, or perhaps a lost empire? Each finding meant more questions and an endless cycle of theory building and testing. The exploration fueled imaginations everywhere, juicy hint of stories long forgotten. Even now, the search for answers hasn't stopped. More advanced technologies are being invented, bringing new possibilities for exploration. This quest isn't just about solving an age-old mystery. It's about connecting DOTs across history, understanding human resilience, creativity, and our ongoing relationship with the planet. There's something grounding about looking back while standing firmly in the present. So now, whenever you look out over the ocean, consider for a moment that beneath those waves lies a deep-seated history intertwined with myth and reality. The ocean guards its secrets well, but with every dive, we get closer to understanding the truth. What treasures will future explorers reveal when they shine their lights into the deep water of our world? Chapter 10: The Great Atlantis Mystery. Imagine a world where the tales you've heard about ancient cities hidden beneath the waves are not just stories to tell on dark, stormy nights. In this world, the idea of an advanced but now lost civilization is not just a myth or a whisper passed down through generations. It is a reality we are slowly coming to understand and explore fully. Picture sitting in a cozy room while rain taps gently on the window, listening to tales of a city that once dazzled the world with its splendor and wisdom. Atlantis, the name alone conjures images of vast palaces adorned with gold, waterways bustling with life, and knowledge far beyond its time. What if, hidden beneath our oceans, lie the remnants of such a city, waiting for us to uncover its secrets? Let's dive deeper into this thought. Suppose we actually found it, somewhere deep in the ocean. Maybe it's beneath layers of sand and silt, where it rested undisturbed for millennia. Imagine the thrill of discovering strange, ancient technology, the likes of which we've never seen before. Perhaps there would be immense statues, larger than life, staring silently into the darkness, guarding the secrets of a civilization long gone. Now, consider for a moment what it would mean. How would it feel to walk within the halls that once echoed with the sound of laughter and music? Would the walls whisper their stories to us? Could we learn from their mistakes and triumphs, apply their discoveries to improve our own way of living? There would likely be so much to uncover. Strange writing tools far advanced for their time, and possibly even ways of thinking and living that challenge everything we know. Would such a finding change how we see our place in the world? Surely, it would. It would be a reminder of human potential, both to create and to destroy. If we had our hands on their ancient texts or machines, our own science and technology might leap forward. Think about all the different fields that would be impacted. Archaeology, obviously, but also history, engineering, even medicine. If what we find reveals their methods of healing, new clues could shed light on how they harnessed the power of the earth and the seas for energy. It's fascinating to think about the architecture of the place. Perhaps gleaming towers with strange shapes rise from the ocean floor, built to withstand harsh waters. Glistening domes with murals that tell stories of the gods and heroes of a time before written history. Would these structures reflect advanced engineering marvels? And, if we comprehend those techniques, maybe we can model sustainable cities for our modern world. Consider also the impact on our cultural and philosophical thought. Knowing a civilization existed that far, surpassed others of its time, would invite deep reflection. What stories did they tell? What did they believe about the universe, about life and death, about their origin? Their philosophy might teach us new ways to approach our own world, how to care for it, how to live in harmony with it. The initial surprise of such a discovery would only be the beginning. Imagine debates between scholars about what led to the city's demise. Was it a natural disaster, such as a tsunami or earthquake, or perhaps their society fell victim to its own hubris, a cautionary tale that would echo into our own time, reminding us to tread carefully with the gifts and knowledge we possess? Then there is the question of mystery. Even if we could find and study every artifact, every piece of broken pottery or rusted tool, would we truly understand everything. There would always be more to learn, more to uncover, an ever-present enigma calling out to the adventurer in all of us. In our search for this fantastic, lost city, curiosity and wonder guide us, binding people together in their quest for knowledge. Each piece of evidence, no matter how small, adds to the tapestry of these ancient people's lives, reminding us of the shared human experience across time. And suddenly, just as it must have been in those ancient days, the whisper of Atlantis draws bright minds toward it, urging them to explore, discover, and learn. These real-life adventurers may one day hold the keys to unlocking the full story, showing us what was possible in a time barely remembered but never truly forgotten. Whether Atlantis was a dream that inspired generations or a reality waiting to be uncovered, one thing remains certain. The human race is bound by the eternal quest to connect with and understand its past. With every discovery, we not only learn about where we came from, but also gain insights into where we may go. And this journey, full of intrigue and wonder, is as vital as any treasure hidden beneath the sea.